Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Essential Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson, and I will be your guide for today. Just sorting out the chat bar as per usual. Wasn't showing up, but now it is. Yay! So, if nobody knows me, if anyone out there who's watching doesn't know me, I am a channeler and a seer. I was contacted as a young girl by the Pleiadians. I was found by a Cherokee elder who was sent by her elders to go around the world and find specific people, souls straight from Pleiades. I'd had visions of Pleiades when I was younger, even before I met the elder, and I'd had other contact as well. So through all of the visions and everything, and I'm talking about actually seeing things outside of me, not like visions within my own head. My mum had the same gift. I'd wake up and see actual things. I really learned to focus my gifts onto what is humanity's potential. So I started to get downloads and everything about our potential. And then at the age of 50, I stopped all of the visions stopped, pretty much all of them. It was really interesting when they really started big time. A big X came towards me, and then when they finished, a big X came towards me, and then I started to channel, and they'd wake me up in the morning. I would get this download, and then I'm like, wow, that's so profound and such a beautiful message. I want to honor and respect that. So I put it into video, and over the next 2 years, I created Codes to a New Reality. And that was a series that's on my YouTube. And then I ended up having a massive breakup with a narcissist. Yeah, horrible story there. And it sort of perpetuated my energy into, okay, that's it. I'm not doing what everyone else wants me to do anymore. I'm doing me completely. And I started going live and channeling. So that's kind of a really quick thing about my journey. I have many, many, many different really bizarre things that have happened to me in my life. I've lived on the edge of this reality and the next. In any case, just recently, I have uploaded masterclasses. If anyone is interested in them, they are still for sale. I will be doing Zoom calls from the July the 3rd with the masterclass people. Can't wait to see you all who purchased already. So excited about that. Those masterclasses are all about our potential, moving from the mind and into learning telepathy channeling for yourself so that you can become the empowered sovereign being that you are, to learn to connect through your soul. It's advice as well, not just learning to copy and paste through the logical mind, and gaining your own power back so that you can get your own wisdom from your own soul. So, and that sort of branches into telepathy once more of us on this beautiful planet actually has that skill, we can then converse telepathically as well. What else have I got to bring up? Oh my gosh, there's so much is happening. I had amazing video all about the Göbekli Tepe, come through all of this channel wisdom about that. And on the end of that was information or about an artifact that my team pulled in front of my face and gave me this download about this artifact, which was a Tibetan skull that was carved, and it had this chant on it. And then I had this, well, we had this idea of let's do the chant in a video format so that we can chant along with the actual chant that the skull chanted, had written on it. And that's coming on Friday. So if you want to join me with that, what we're going to do is I'm premiering it on Friday, and you can come in, and because it's premiered, I can also chat in the chat bar. But what I was thinking of is that we can just introduce ourselves in the chat bar to say that we're here, but go into the chant together. And then afterwards, you could like comment and say if anything actually happened, if you had a clearing, if you had you know, some sort of emotional something coming up for you to clear, or whether, because the actual skull itself is like from a wise man who actually found Nirvana within himself, like utopia within himself. And it was like a map on the actual skull. That's what I channeled through to this Nirvana within oneself. And I think that it would help a lot, especially at the moment. I think that's why it's been brought up again now and going public, mainstream and stuff on YouTube with the social media, because it wanted to be announced or brought up now so that we can utilize this chant. So if you want to join me on Friday, we would be doing a chant together. And what else is there? Oh my gosh, there's so much that's happening. I should have written all of this stuff down, but I also got download about what happens when we die, whether we go to the light or the dark, and that's sort of, there's like a main theme that's going on at the moment. Oh, you should go towards the light, you should go towards the dark. And so I did this channel message about it and a better understanding of what actually happens. So if you're interested in that, I've posted that up. I accidentally pressed. Well, I didn't accidentally. I actually pressed the 18 plus button because YouTube was going on about that, anything to do with death, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was the right thing to do. And then I found that it wasn't really, because it was just annoying everybody by getting everyone to sign in and all this sort of stuff and jargon. So I'm like, okay, we'll just alleviate that and leave it as, you know, let the YouTube decide with the 18 plus. So that's all open now. You can go watch that without having to sign in. So sorry about that. It was one of my trials. Is there anything else? I think that's about it. So today we are going to, what happened last night was I was thinking about what are we going to talk about today, guys? And so it's tapping into my guides, who are the Arcturians, Palladians, and the Cyanians mainly. And when we're like calling together, they were giving me all these little snippets of understandings. And I'm like, okay, but we've done that and we've done that and we've done that. But then they're like, no, we've got to pull it all together. These are the tools. These are the tools. And I'm like, oh, the tools. So there's now 10 tools that I've pulled out that we are going to go through one individually, and these are the most powerful tools to ascend. Now, there's no chronological order, if I said that right, a merit or anything like that. I'm just saying them as they came through. And also there will be others. So if you know of other tools that are very powerful that can help ascend, by all means, put them in the comments below. I'm fine with that. These are what came through with me and my team, and I think it's really important to go over them so that we have an understanding, because it's not something that's brought up every day in the everyday society out there, or the understanding of everyday society. So if we pull them all together into a format of tools that we can implement, we can realize that, yes, we are on the right path because we're using that tool, kind of thing. Hey, Annika in the chat bar, Vanda, Nicole, Javier, Julie, Sasha, good to see you all in the chat bar. Yeah, so let's get into it. Yep, let's get into it. And we'll see what else other channel messages come through with these tools. The first one that came up is the imagination. So one of our biggest tools that was hijacked, literally hijacked by the cabal and those, was our imagination. So within our imagination, this is what my team told me, has a understanding of more of where the soul has gone. And so things that pop up in your imagination, usually a collective of etheric worlds, etheric understandings, things that could be grounded, things that you don't have to ground, but you could. It's if it's utilized in the right way and with the right focus, we can bring it into what we actually want to create on this planet. And if we start to use it, we can choose through our imagination the bits that we want to ground. So then we can ask, well, how do I ground that? And if we ask that question of how do I ground that, then we can come up with all these other ideas of bringing in the logical mind and what we've learned on how to navigate this separated world, plus the imagination. But the imagination also holds keys to gifts that you had either in past lives or that you could attain in this life, gifts that go beyond the norm. And if we start to bring the imagination in as a tool and not as something that is creating us in a perpetual fear-based loop that the powers at them, well, they're not really powers at the moment, are they? Tried to encapsulate us into. They tried to limit us through schooling and that we're going to use your imagination. So what they did is like, you're only allowed to imagine up to this point, or you're only allowed to imagine the things that we put in front of you. And so they programmed us with repeating issues or repeating problems, or to focus in on problems on this world. And so our imagination started to be utilized for them to keep us in a fear-based scenario. So that's why on programs, so to speak, like the news and so forth, it's like all funneled or tunnel visioned into what's awful out there. And so we've got then this collective of energy and our powerful imagination creating within ourselves a reality that they actually want. And they don't want us to imagine them. Like if we took our imagination back, then we can easily imagine them out of the picture, and then imagine the beautiful things that we want to create on this planet. We can also, through our imagination, bring in the dreaming worlds and that sort of thing, because when we wake up, we've been in places, our soul has been or resonated with places that felt really serene or beautiful or peaceful. And then with it came a story, and the story is the imagination bleeding through into our dreams. And then when we wake up, we're like, well, can I ground that story on this planet? Most of the time, because our imagination's been held hostage by those that don't want us to use it, we'll say, nah, because then I won't fit in to my outside world, even though it felt really good. So imagination is a big one as a tool to learn to navigate with, to bring through things that your soul understands could be grounded on this planet. I'm not saying everything in the imagination can be grounded, but it is incredible what can be grounded in this world through you, way more than what you would ever expect, like your logical mind would ever expect, way, way, way more. So one of the most powerful tools is to bring our imagination back into alignment with our own authentic self and our soul, and our understanding of what we actually want to create, instead of it being held hostage by the program of limitation and fear. That's one. And the second one that I got is living in the moment. Now, everyone's like, oh, God, living in the moment. How often is that being brought up? But it was really interesting how they taught me about living in the moment and why it's so important. So if you have in your logical mind a story from the past, and keeps bringing you back into that story of the past, and also that story of the past that didn't turn out, because your main focus is in on those things that didn't turn out, because that's what we're being taught to do, is to focus on the worst scenario, right? Then when you keep going back into those places, they showed me this long energy ribbon, and that ribbon is connected to that point, from that point of when it started to happen, like the the thing that went wrong in our life, or that, and then we carried it on and we remembered it and remembered it and remembered it and remembered it. And so we're always living in that moment way back then that's not even happening right here, right now, in this present moment. It causes an energy ribbon, and that energy ribbon has all these different points. They show me all these different points of where someone that's wanted to keep you in that alignment of that horrible story, poo-poo story, whatever it is, whether it be war or something that actually physically happened to you or whatever, because you haven't learned to let it go and be present in the moment, then the powers that are in charge have a greater opportunity to hook you back in through programming that reminds you of those horrible things that has happened to you. And it can be through shame, through guilt, through, you're not good enough, you should have done this, what are you doing on this planet, you're just I shouldn't say that word because otherwise it will get taken down, but you know what I'm talking about. And so that ribbon of energy of you holding on to all of those issues or things that did go wrong, and you didn't learn to let them go and be present in the moment. Say, for instance, that thing might have only happened in your life like for a moment. It might have only happened for like 5 minutes. But you've carried it on for years and years and decades. And that's the long ribbon they're talking about. And then the program can hook you back in. And so you have this long energy ribbon that's connected to you where it can hook you in. But if you're present, if you're completely living in this moment, every single moment, as much as you could possibly can, obviously we're going to have, lingering thoughts or that sort of thing. But if you can keep bringing yourself into present moment as much as you possibly can, then that ribbon is shortened to the point where it can't be caught by outside stories, remembering, you getting hooked into the memory of that by the programming. All of a sudden you're like, no, I'm present. And in this very, very moment, none of that is happening. And it's interesting too, they're telling me when you're a kid, say, for instance, you banged your head on a table or something and it hurt. If you don't let that go, they show me get the child to touch the wood. See it was a physical piece of wood. See it was something that you need to touch tangibly so that you remember not to go banging your head on that physical thing again, but also to remember now that you know about it, you can let it go easier because you're not going to be in fear of it actually creeping up on you again. So there's something about that as well. And this tool is as in living in the moment. It is like I've got a ribbon here. It literally is shortening that, like when we live in the moment, all of a sudden this long ribbon is really, really short. Can I roll it up fast enough? Probably not. So it's really, really short. And can you imagine if somebody is like with a long ribbon dragging it along behind them? So easy to grab. But living in the moment makes it like this. And then, you might have a little bit of remembrance of yesterday or something. I'm not saying not to use your memory for specific things that you want to remember so that you can bring in a beautiful world. There's tools in the logical mind that are needed, like, for instance, how to build buildings or, how we can utilize things to create stuff on this planet and all of that. But when we live in the moment, we can dip and dive into that. And also it's a short energetic ribbon that cannot be manipulated as easy if you're moving through your life. Anyway, that was a really powerful tool that I feel is necessary to remember. As we are ascending, that ribbon should get shorter and shorter, or that hanging on to, we practice present moment awareness, it gets shorter and shorter. So that's number 2. Number 3, they said your will and your focus and your determination is a big one. This is a powerful tool that was taken from you by running a fear program that you are powerless to others who reside outside of you. So So yeah, your will is all to do with you taking your power back and utilizing it for what you want, what you wish to happen for you personally. If somebody else has taken that from you through a fear-based program and said, you are small, you are little, we are more powerful. We have to come to the realization or see ourselves from a new perspective so that we can power up our will again. And that new perspective is everyone outside of me is equal to me because we are all source energy, or the energy of the source going on a journey. We are all prime creator. We are all God-like gods going on a journey. We are all part of the intricate source of entanglement going on a journey within ourselves in this body, in this avatar, this program that has separated us from that in this moment, just so that we can have this external story running and adventure. But the whole of all of us is just source energy, and source energy is just love. So source energy just being love. Anything else is just a lack of that love. So perpetrator, victim, all of that. So the lack of love in that moment. And so when we see it from that perspective, anyone that comes towards us that says they're more powerful than us and we should do what they say, when we don't exercise our will, we end up following their advice because we feel willless. We don't feel like we have the power within us. We follow their advice because we're not taking the reins to our own sovereign self, our will, like a horse. That actually, willpower comes up as horses and dreams. If you do have horses and dreams, watch what they're doing, because it is your drive, your will, and your understanding. And it makes a big difference on a decision that you make from yourself and your own will. No, I will find another way. No, I'm sorry, I don't like your story. I know that my will, my strength, my power, my decision will create or carve a different story. And even if it is that magic comes in and switches it up, so-called magic, or something that's unusual, can sometimes come in and flip the whole story around just because of your will. That's how incredible your will is to help you in the ascension process, because when you exercise it, you can literally watch magic happen around you. Okay, I've decided that this is not going to happen, so my will is moving towards the focus point of this for my reality to be created or carved. And so then that was attacking you or saying that they're more powerful than you, somehow it will flip and they will disperse, or just the will to survive or be here and say that you're allowed to be here and you're allowed to be authentic. You're allowed to be who you are. You're allowed to go live and channel. You're allowed to, be telepathic if you want to, or telekinetic, or whatever you want. There's a will behind that. There's an understanding or a drive that you can attain that, and that no one outside of you has the more willpower than you, because when we come from the perspective that we're all source energy, love going on a journey, it's based on decisions. It's based on choices. It's not based on, oh my God, I'm less powerful than you. You're more powerful than me. I better do what you say. It's not based on that whole hierarchy sort of energy alignment anymore. When you're in the fifth dimensions and up, or the understandings of those fifth dimensions, then you end up allowing that sort of thing to take place, where everyone is seen or perceived as equal. And it's more of an event. What adventure are you going on? I'd love to join you for a while and see explore that with you. And so teach me how to do that sort of thing, rather than pushing somebody else's lack of love through their own controlling power over you, to say you have to follow them, which is what part of the programmed matrix that we fell into, humanity fell into. So at the moment, one of the biggest tools to learn to ascend is to take one's own will back. Powerhouse. We're all powerhouses. Hey Celtic, good to see you in the chat bar. And Sky, Sasha, did I say hi? Can't remember. Tama, good to see you guys. Margaret. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4 is acceptance. When you accept, you can change anything. Sorry, I'm just reading this, but when you don't, you are resisting, and resistance feels like it's the problem. Okay, so acceptance. It's so funny when I'm channeling and then I try to read. None of it makes sense to me when I'm reading. I'm just reading the words. It's like I'm flipping from one side of my brain, which is how would I put that? Feeling into an all-knowingness, and then all of a sudden I'm trying to read something. And when I'm reading something, I don't actually, it's like my brain is still in that all-knowingness, but it's just reading these words from a logical point, but I'm not taking it in. So interesting how that happens. Just thought I'd share that with you. Anyway, for whatever reason, acceptance. Acceptance of one's whole life is going to make a big difference, because when we start to accept our life as it is right here, right now, we can make a change. If we are in resistance to our whole life, and those points that you are resisting your life, you're pushing your life. And what happens when you push your outside reality is it pushes back, and it shows you that it is an equal power to your resistance. And so then you have whatever resistance going on within you of, I don't accept this part of myself. You end up having those people coming into your life and showing you up the equal value of resistance that you are not accepting. So cool, because when you start to realize that tool of acceptance, then you can go, oh, wow, I'm just going to accept the fact that at this present moment, I'm not fully in my power when it comes to this topic, and this topic. Okay, now that I've accepted that, how can I change it? Because I'm no longer pushing at it going, God, I fear that. I'm so scared of that. I'm so powerless, and and then the universe comes and shows you the resistance of it. And so you end up using all your energy to resist back, fight back, instead of accept it as where it is in this moment, and then ask to see a new path. And so the acceptance actually shows up new paths, places where you can improve yourself, places where you can start to get messages and signs and synchronicities of how to change your thought patterns. You start to flow with life a lot easier, and because you're not in resistance of life anymore, you have this natural, like, getting in the zone. There's like a getting in the zone through acceptance of all as it is. And that's why we don't want to resist, even if something comes up, and that, because that's how they kept us in the fear-based program, is to show up things that they thought that we have judgment on, that we fear, that we feel powerless about. They kept showing them up. And then what we're asked to do for our self-acceptance is to say, where did I lack within myself that I felt that suggestion was a more powerful suggestion than what I feel within myself? There's something there that we can, like, utilize as in accepting the world as it is, just as it is, that we can find or navigate a new path of least resistance that takes us into alignment with creating the world that we actually desire or want. We have all our energy going towards that. We ignore those things that we don't really want to be in resistance to anymore. It's not giving any attention. And so it becomes powerless, because their only power, or that only power, is if it had the resistance that kept it in our frequency. Oh, that's interesting that they're bringing that through. Okay, and they're showing me up showing me up. They're showing me a part of a movie called Merlin, and there was this very powerful, dark, beautiful lady witch. I don't know what her name was. I haven't seen Merlin for decades, so I can't remember the names of the people, but there was this powerful witch person that could, like, she was angry with everything and she was trying to control everything. And Merlin walked into the building, or where she was standing on this platform. I can remember just this one scene because they bring it up with me constantly. And then as he walked in the room, she's like, I'm going to enforce all this power onto you. And he's just like, no, you won't. And she's like, how will you ever get away from me, kind of thing. And he's just like, you don't exist in my reality. And he turned around and walked out. And her power was not, there was nothing for her to fight because there was no focus point on that issue. So when we accept things, like he accepted before he went into the building, he accepted his life as it was, so he had no fear, so he could face her. And then he turned around and made a new decision from his own will on what he wanted to create. So then he walks out of the building knowing what he's focusing on will come to pass, because her will was no more powerful than his. And he could turn his back on her, knowing that within himself, her will has no more power over him. It's like, Alice in Wonderland and the Jabberwocky. I don't fear you anymore. And so she knew the moves to make to be able to slay the demon, kind of, so to speak. Actually, this might be a good point in the middle of all of this, this wisdom, to bring up something. I'll see if I can find it. It's really cool. I might be able to show you guys. I should have organized this before, but we'll see if we can find it. It was another channeled message that I got through. Channel wisdom. Here we go. So if I share screen, let's see if we can share screen. Share. And I'll share you this. This is something that I channeled through, and it was to do with the devil. It was so bizarre how they bring up these things with me. It says, devil spelt backwards is lived, which is life in past tense. In other words, the devil is not living in the present. It is focusing on the past. And we all have this devil within us, right? And the devil is a lack of love, lack of our own power within ourselves. So it is focusing on the past, never being present, and living in the moment, which is where life itself is lived without anxiety and depression. I love that. Devil spelled backwards is lived. It's focusing on the past. And all those demons and everything that are outside of us, all those sort of things, those sort of manifested evils are actually manifested because of our own lack of understanding of our own power. And so there's nothing outside of you that can come towards you unless it's an equal standing of your own power. So if you are facing off with something, then that's how powerful you are, but you forgot. So when you have something really powerful coming at you, you can see then how powerful you are that you forgot. And you can use that to say, oh, I'm going to bring that power back to myself. And then that thing that was seemingly more powerful doesn't seem powerful at all anymore because it's equal. And so then it's just like when this happened to me over many, many years when I was a kid, I had something pretty awful coming at me constantly in the recesses of the etheric world because I didn't know my own power. And I was born into a family that had these like hanging on things. And the only way that I could clear it was to face it with compassion And so one day in one of my dreams, I tried to get rid of it all sorts of horrible ways. I couldn't. And in the end, I just, with compassion, I held out my hand and said, come with me. And it didn't want to. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not afraid of you anymore. And see what I mean? In the fairy tales, in the stories that we've been told, the clues are there, the keys are there. And you have these keys within you to take your power back. You just got to see it from the right perspective or the right angle, and it will help you ascend as well. So the next one was your voice. That was so interesting. One of the ones that come through was your voice holds resonance to vibrational frequencies and alignments of your soul's journey, connecting you to your soul's wisdom. Because voice is vibration, and vibration can meet other vibrations. And so when you harmonize or you hum or you chant, and it's so interesting that they brought that up when I've got that chant coming up, your specific voice is unique to you and your soul's journey, because it's so cool. It's like they're showing me like somebody who's tiny and they were a fairy in their past life might have a higher voice because they had higher frequency resonance or meeting at that point to that elemental world, and so forth. We all have this attuned voice that we can utilize as a tool within ourselves to chant or hum, or even if you chant out of key or whatever, there's still something within that can open your pineal gland up to connection to other dimensional spaces that your soul resides at. It's so cool. So that was another really interesting one that came through. Some of these are self-explanatory, self-explained, but still needed to be brought up because of the different perception of the actual thing. So the next one is self-love. Self-love doesn't leave room for others to dictate to you who they think you are, which is only coming from their own perspective of their own self-doubts. So when you take that power back of loving who you are 100% in this moment, and these moments are only like the more love that you give yourself in each and every moment, the more power that you're taking back in each and every moment. When you find yourself in anxious mode or depression or guilt or whatever like that, look at the part of that self that you didn't love, and then find the acceptance within yourself of, okay, it's there, it's present, and then use your will to shift it into more powerful energy. What is the thing that I'm lacking? It's not guilt. Guilt's not what I'm lacking. It's not being a victim. That's not what I'm lacking. That's the actual thing that comes from the lack. It is usually self-love, loving self of who you are, and that you always do your best. You've always come from that point of I am doing my best for myself, and so I've got to love who I am. You're also not allowing somebody outside of you, like it said there, to tell you who you are. And so when someone comes at you with a negative thing, then you can say, no, sorry, that's not who I am. Number 7 is your ability to trust in yourself. This plants the reins of your life firmly back in your palms, setting up boundaries that agree with you in your life and what you want to create. So to trust oneself means that I accept that, it means that you're accepting everything for yourself now, and you're taking full responsibility. I take responsibility. I'm holding my reins to my own life. I'm trusting my path and what I decide to go down. When we have lack of trust in self, we're already giving our power away to somebody else, because we're saying, I don't trust who I am. tell me what to do. And so you're then back into that old matrix pattern, and you're not ascending. You're asking somebody else that they know better than what you know. So to trust oneself is a really big thing. That's another cool tool. Maintaining, this is the one that I got last night. I woke up last night and it was interesting. My mind was actually at peace, but my heart had anxiety. And it was like beating fast. I'm like looking at it from this higher perspective, going, what is that? And they're like, your heart is anxiety of the future. But my mind was like, no, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine, because I've been training my mind out of anxiety for the future. And yet my heart was still present, and it was really bizarre. And what they told me is that was one of the tools, was to maintain equilibrium or learn to calm and balance oneself when anxiousness or depression hits you, body, mind, and heart. So to be able to attain calmness in the body when you feel tense, and oh my God, that's a really tight place in my body, to find equilibrium within your cells of your body, to be able to relax and trust itself to be calm, and then within your mind, obviously, to find equilibrium within your mind and peace within stillness within oneself, to be able to know that you can still your mind and say, no, I don't need to think of that anxiousness or that depression, because in this moment it's not happening. And the same goes for your heart. And it's so interesting that highlighted that your heart has an actual apprehension of things that had happened in the past that hurt your heart. And then you're like, well, if I go down that road again, it might hurt my heart again. So it has this kind of anxiousness. And so you can like know, and they said for the heart, deep breathing and focusing on the breath to calm the heart down. Oh, that is so interesting. So there's another tool. What else have we got here? I just have a quick look at the chat bar. Everyone's just saying hello to each other. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Margaret. Very cool. Thank you, guys. Okay, number 9. Number 9 was forgiveness of oneself and others by seeing all from a new perspective, that they are trying to reach peace within a faulty program of only looking outside oneself. So a new perspective isn't that. That the new perspective is the actual understanding that that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to find peace by only looking outside themselves and trusting somebody outside, or thinking that only outside of themselves is all that matters. What they look like to others is all that matters, but how they feel, we're just going to ignore that, because no one can see my feelings. I can hide my feelings. And so they go along their life acting out, literally acting out. And then when you come along and they do something harm to you, then if you see it from that perspective of them still caught in that program matrix of only looking outside themselves and not feeling into their feelings, you can forgive them a lot easier. Same with yourself. In that moment, in that time when you were running in the program, or you had lost yourself in that program, even if it is tomorrow or the next day or whatever, if you lose yourself again, the quickest way out of that is to forgive oneself. It's okay. It's okay. We're all human here. We're all doing our best in the moment. We can lose ourselves and find ourselves. And it's still gaining understanding of how quickly can I find myself back out of that? Like, how can I attain my own equilibrium again, kind of, so to speak, and calm myself. So yeah, to see things from a higher perspective, when you go into seeing things from a higher perspective, you're the observer of it, and you're not entangled in the emotions anymore. And so when you are the observer, you are already ascending. That's your ascension. That is you in an ascended sort of a vibration, because you can now navigate as the observer and not need to feel into losing yourself through anger and hatred or any of those sort of lack of love emotions. Yeah. And number 10 is the intuition. It's so cool what I was shown recently. There was scientific proof that if somebody's brain didn't have the corpus callosum being able to share wisdom between the two hemispheres, they could see what the left brain was doing and then what the right brain was doing. They showed words to somebody who had only the right brain activated and the left brain wasn't, and the words made no sense whatsoever. When they talked to the left brain, the words made sense. Like, if I start reading, that totally makes sense because it's held in the memory of the logical mind through repetition. That's how we learn it. Copy and pasting, that's what school's all about, the logical left brain, learning the ABCs and all of that. But in the right hemisphere, where telepathy rules, where intuition rules, it is more of that side of us can't read. That side of us literally cannot read, but it can feel into things. So it has this higher understanding of even things that our energy is lining us up for. And so it can navigate our path into a flow of, this is going to be an easier way for me to navigate this part of the story. But we have to let go of the logical mind enough. So our intuition is a great, powerful tool of learning to be in the flow of life and not navigate a copy and paste scenario. So when we're present in the moment and we allow our intuition to come into that presentness, it will be a feeling that we get, or just an absolute as well. Sort of like when someone threw some socks at me and my hand, without even looking, just went up and caught the socks. I didn't think about it. There was no thinking. There was it was already set in motion that I was going to catch the socks, because that's what I decided to do when these people were throwing socks at me, balled up socks. But in the present moment, we kind of, and we are using our intuition or our skills of, it's already protected. We're already protected from anything that comes to us. It's when we get into our logical mind that we like, no, magic doesn't happen. We have to actually navigate this step by step. And that's when it all becomes muddled and slow, and we don't catch things in time. We end up in accidents. We end up in problems. So in our ascension toolbox, our intuition is really important to exercise, and that's the reason why I started those master classes, so that we can bring in this intuition and actually move towards what we really want to do, as well. Going into navigating our life through the zone, living in the zone rather than what we've been taught. So that was number 10. So I think that is all of my ones that I came up with so far. I'm sure that there's others. I'm sure you could think of others, but if you do, just write them in the comment box. But there is definitely coming up for everybody this more and more understanding of the fact that we are ascending and we are navigating through this world through a different perspective, a different way of looking at things. We have to let go of things. You can't keep on repeating something over and over and over again, expect a different result, can you? So, and that's literally where humanity has been stuck at. And also, I want to just bring up here one of the valuable things that there's all this talk about the fifth dimension being a place that we move to, and crystalline bodies and all that sort of thing. Now, what I was told by my guides is in this 3D world, physical world, we are here in this present moment to infuse more love or more soul back into this moment, into this reality, into this onto this gorgeous planet that is a separated physical world. The 3D world, there's nothing wrong with it. It's when we've closed ourselves off to everything else, and we are coming from an out of balance fear-based program. That's what's dissolving. We're dissolving the fear-based program, because when we when we bring more love or ground more love into this 3D world, we're also bringing in the 5D. The 5D exists as well. So magic becomes part of our reality as well. But we're also in the physical world too. So we're grounding more magic upon this earth, and it becomes our utopic reality through moving through our life as a feeling-based person, rather than wanting somebody to tell you how you should feel or act or be in this world. So it's more of an alleviation of the fear-based program, rather than we're leaving this physical world and moving into an etheric world. If that was the case, then we will be in a dreamlike reality, and we're not really physically grounded here. That's why we need people who are grounded in this reality, but love this reality as much as possible, so that we can infuse more love into this world and have a greater playground. This is us building a greater playground. We're not leaving one thing and jumping into another. We're infusing it all. We're bringing it all together, and bringing more and more love into it, and bringing more balance, more equilibrium into this world. So yeah, I just had to say that as well, because I've noticed that's coming up a bit too. Okay, guys, is there anything else? I could do a couple of quick readings for those in the chat bar. If somebody wants me to just pull a card for them, I've got 10 minutes or so to speak. If you leave me here, thank you very much for being part of this. If you have any comments or understandings, please comment below. It helps my video get out there more. I've also had a chat to Campbell from I can never say that. So I'll be going on his show again. And also I'm going to be a tarot reader coming up on Carl's show, Skeptic podcast. So I've got a couple of things coming up anyway. Right. Nicole, since you're the first one to say yes, please. You got the source, but it's in reverse. So you got the source in reverse coming up. The source is within yourself, like God's self, within self, and finding out more about you, shining your light. I'll just see if another card comes through. Any other messages? Seeing the world from a different perspective, they're saying, is a good idea for you at the moment. See, try different ways of seeing things. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not. Just have a little play. You can have more of a play when you come back to source energy, when you come back to knowing that you can always come back to self. You can have a play at seeing life through different perspectives or different ways of looking at life, and then try it out. See if it actually, because I think that there's something coming through for you, but they want you to be more flexible. There's a flexibility within this Sun card, but be knowing that you can always return home. Yeah, okay, I'll leave it there anyway. No other cards came out, so Javier. Javier. Oh, we had two that popped out together, so I'll read them together. Okay, so these were in reverse. We had ripeness and control. So interesting, even if I turn them upright, right? Because control in reverse is letting go of control, realizing that you don't have to try to control everything in your outer world to be able to gain the benefits of everything. So there's a ripeness coming through for you where it's time for you to pick the fruits of your labor or allow the fruits of your labor to fall into your lap. But the more you try to control this, the more that it doesn't work out. Excuse me. Because it's kind of like you're not reaping the rewards fully when you try to control something. Say, for instance, they're showing me an orchard with a whole heap of apples ripe on the trees. And if you were controlling it, you would just get this machine and strip the trees and then you just sell them off kind of thing. But there's a process of living in the moment with the ripeness of the apples being picked and feeling into that and how, oh my God, and exploring how awesome it is that you actually got to experience something great in your life. They don't want you to just have a gift given to you and you're looking for the next gift, or you just like, oh, that's great, I'm glad that I got that far. And you're not really gratified or in gratitude of the experience, when it's the experience that we need, not to control the experience. See, it's the experience that your soul wants to attain, the feeling of it, the gratefulness of it. So yeah, just be aware that you're not jumping from one thing that's going good and then straight to another and not really feeling into the blessing. Okay. Who else have we got here? Morgan. Yeah, Morgana. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, Celtic. That's the Merlin witch that I was talking about. Cherie. Let's go. Cherie's reading, please. Cherie, wow. Cherie. Don't forget, I am an intuitive reader, intuitive counselor. If you want a reading with me one-on-one, my links are down below. Nicole. Okay. And I've got, my voice is getting croaky. I'm using it too much. And I have got literally like so many reviews on my page now. It's just incredible. I put every single review up on my website, every single one. That if I did miss one, it was a mistake. So sorry, but as far as I know, I put every single one, and I've never had a negative one yet. So lucky am I. Okay. Whew. You have existence and completion come up for you, Nicole. So you're right at the end of completing a part of your reality. It might have been quite like something quite hard has happened, like that, and a difficulty, but it's actually pushing you into recognizing that your will is stronger than that was imposed over you. You've been patient. All these cards fell out for you at the same time, so I might as well read them together. Suppression. See, there's something that was suppressing you, and you've been patient about this. And now it's like the last piece of the puzzle has been fitted in. And the last piece to me, they're saying, is your own will. So what we just had the reading, like this, the tools to ascension, go visit the will again, because you need to take your power back. There's some sort of power that you haven't taken back, for you to live in this vulnerability. See, she's actually naked on this lotus leaf and looking out to the world as if it's a grand adventure. The universe it's the grand adventure. It's number one as well. It's the start of something new, completely new, but coming from absolute will of self and self support. So you're no longer going to be able to be suppressed by anything else anymore. And so you start to take this new adventure. Okay, who else have we got here? Tama. Tama, you got the ripeness card as well. Look how many, like, it's so cool how this happens. How the ripeness card, look, and then just as I don't usually flip the cards up like this either, but completion is at the bottom for you as well. So there's something that you're completing that's coming to ripeness for you as well. I'm gonna put the completion card back in. That was, isn't it interesting how the same cards come up for everybody, right? Postponement. So this has been put off for a reason. They're telling me divine timing. It's okay. Everything has happened specifically for your soul's evolvement. Sometimes we want something to come into fruition for us, and the quickest path is to go through something that's not so like that it doesn't actually happen yet, because you're still coming into your own self-empowerment as well. There's something within you. And it's more important so that you can have a stable grounding for the future. So rightness is coming, though. Gifts are wanting to be showered over you. There's something that you've attaining or you've attained. Yeah. Who else? Yanaka. Yanaka. Yanaka, we've got a different card for you. That's interesting. You're going on a journey as well. You've got the traveling card coming out. Whenever the traveling card comes out, it is a beautiful journey coming your way. But also to do with traveling is to let go of things in the past so that you can move towards something else too. They're giving me the Eight of Cups feeling with this card. Whether it is the Eight of Cups, I have no idea. But it is feeling that way. And this person seems to have a long way to go, but they're like telling me that this journey is going to feel lighter. It's kind of like the lightness you carry is within the equilibrium of yourself and understanding and acceptance of who you are. And then you move into this next journey with this lightness of self. So yeah, just a quick reading there. Okay, guys, I think I'll leave it here. Don't forget, if you want to follow on one-on-one reading with me, then links are down below. And my masterclasses are still for sale if anyone wants to purchase them. First Zoom class is on the 3rd of July, and then weekly for the next 4 weeks after that 3rd of July. So you've got plenty of time to visit the videos and the games, the telepathic games that I've pulled out and everything. If you want to purchase them, then go down below and there's a link down there. Thank you so much, everybody, for being part of this. Don't forget, also Friday, we've got the chant happening with the Tibetan carved skull. Really excited about that one and how easily that was pulled together. So love you guys heaps. Until next time. Bye.